Welcome to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. So, what does food mean to you? Well, join me in this week's episode. My special guest is author Michelle Danner, who has really an interesting story to tell. If you want to hear about her work with some A-list celebrities and some other projects she has coming up, stay tuned for that interview. And Super Bowl Sunday and Valentine's Day are coming up, and we have a mixologist. Nicki is the mixologist that will be talking about wine cocktails and giving some recipes and some tips to make wine cocktails perfect for Super Bowl Sunday and Valentine's Day. And as mentioned, Super Bowl Sunday is coming up. Of course, here in Philadelphia, we're all rooting for the Eagles. But I just wanted to mention about the food. Everything is always about the food, and Super Bowl Sunday is also about indulging in delicious and fun foods. Here are some favorite foods that are popular during the Super Bowl. You might have been aware of these, or you may be able to guess, but so number one is chicken wings. These are definitely a staple at Super Bowl parties, often served with a variety of sauces like buffalo, barbecue, and honey mustard. Number two is pizza. Of course, it's easy to share and loved by everybody. Pizza is a must-have for any Super Bowl gathering. Nachos is number three, loaded with cheese, jalapeno, and other toppings. Nachos are perfect for snacking during the game. Number four is buffalo chicken dip, a creamy, spicy dip that's perfect for dipping chips or even celery sticks. Number five is a seven layer dip. This dip includes layers of refried beans, guacamole, sour cream, and more, making it a crowd favorite. Number six is sliders. Sliders are mini burgers that are easy to eat while watching the game. Number seven is pretzels and dip. Crunchy pretzels paired with mustard, hot mustard dips, or just regular mustard or cheese dip are always a hit at any Super Bowl party. Number eight is chips and salsa, which is a classic combination that's always a fan favorite. Number nine is a healthy one, finally a healthy choice, fruit and veggie platters. For a healthier option, fresh fruits and veggies with dips can be a great addition. And hey, you can do a charcuterie board with lots of fresh fruit, veggies, and some dips. Number 10, desserts. Don't forget about sweet treats like brownies, cookies, and strawberry shortcake. These, all these foods are not only tasty, but also easy to prepare and share, making them perfect for a fun and festive Super Bowl party. Do you have any other foods that you like to share for Super Bowl? If you do, comment on my comments section of my podcast or hashtag social media and tell us what you're serving for Super Bowl Sunday. One of my other additions to this list would be bruschetta. Bruschetta makes a great addition to any Super Bowl party, and you can actually have a kind of a little buffet of bruschetta toppings and just have the bread there and let people kind of make their own bruschetta. It's actually healthy as well. So yes, share with us, let us know what you're serving on Super Bowl Sunday. Stay tuned for my interviews. Sizzle in the kitchen with my Gourmand World award-winning book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking. Unleash your inner chef and transform your meals into Italian masterpieces. Get your copy today and taste the passion of Italy. And you can get your copy at marialiberati.com, at Amazon and Kindle, and artoflivingprimamedia.com, and anywhere books are sold. My special guest today is Michelle Danner, and she is an acting coach, a director. She's worked with some A-list celebrities, so she's going to tell us about that and and some of her upcoming projects also. Michelle, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Welcome. So tell me, how did you get, what's your inspiration for getting into I know you're an acting coach and direct. What inspired you to do that, or how did you get started?
I mean, everything has to do with just being drawn to telling stories,
Uh-huh.
to wanting to be a storyteller. And from a young age, I've always loved literature. I would read a lot. I would go to libraries and, bring back bags of books
Mhm.
and absorb them all. So I'm always very passionate about the theater. And
Uh-huh.
I'm passionate about movies. So at a young age, I would go to the theater a lot. As a matter of fact, now I'm going to New York for the holidays and I'm going to bring my children to see lots of theater. Um, but, regardless, whatever the art form is, it all boils down to story. And so I was always passionate about telling stories.
Uh-huh. Wow, so you've got into the field of what you're into um by your passion for that, for telling stories. So I know you have acting workshops, and I've heard that there's some uniqueness to them. What makes your acting I read something, is there something called the golden box? Is that correct?
Yes, it's a philosophy. I've studied with Stella Adler and I studied
Yes,
Uta Hagen and Lee Strasberg and
yes,
Herbert Bergdorf. So I studied with a lot
yes,
of different people.
yes.
And but I've always believed that an actor should put together their own toolbox with
Hmm.
all the concepts that work specifically for them,
Yes.
a very unique toolbox. So I never believed in dogma, especially, when it comes to acting, that everybody should do it the same way and everybody should execute it the same way. I think that everybody needs to find their unique way of working that works for them. And so therefore I put a technique together that encompasses Stanislavski and Strasberg and Meisner and all the greats. And that actors should take what specifically works for them and put it in that toolbox, which I call the golden box. And to that they, add lessons that they learn on set when they're working on stage or on a sound stage or on location.
Yes.
And life lessons also go into that toolbox.
Hmm. Oh, that's great. That's so great. So you basically have developed your own technique, your own acting technique. Um, that's great. So I know you are still doing acting coaching, right? You still do have the workshops in LA?
Yes, of course. We have a school called the Los Angeles Acting Conservatory, where students come and study from the US and all parts of the world with programs that
Uh-huh.
are customized for them.
Uh-huh.
And then we have the Michelle Danner Acting Studio if people want to come and study for a short period of time, a session of classes, individual classes. That's the Michelle Danner Acting Studio.
So, before we get into, because I want to ask you about I know you're a film director also, and you have an upcoming project called The Italians, which I know my audience will especially be interested in hearing about. But I know you've worked with a lot of A-list celebrities, and I wanted to ask you if you can give us any memorable experience, from working with an A-list celebrity that we might know of.
Well, I've been very lucky. I get a chance to continue my quest for storytelling on
Yes.
film. So I've been shooting, different movies, and one of them
Uh-huh.
I shot a few years ago was Miranda's Victim. It
Uh-huh.
had an incredible cast,
Uh-huh.
uh, Abigail Breslin and Donald Sutherland and Andy Garcia and Kyle MacLachlan and Ryan Philippe and Luke Wilson and oh, so many people. I'm blanking on all the wonderful actors that were in it. Enrique
Uh-huh.
Morciano, Brian Sexton. I have to mention them because now I would feel Emily Van Camp, Mireille Enos, Josh Bowman. I just had this cast, and
Uh-huh.
they all understood that this was an important story that hadn't been told.
Hmm.
about how the Miranda rights came about. They needed to be told, and
Uh-huh.
so this was, sadly Donald Sutherland's last movie. And working with him was just like a highlight of my life. He cared so much, so passionate about the character, about the story, about the work. There was a twinkle of humor in his eyes. He always made little jokes. I just loved the experience. He was always, one of my very favorite actors on the face of the earth.
Uh-huh.
And others' favorite actor. Um, I just, it was, I have no words to say what it was like to work with him.
Wow. Do you think that I get the impression that the actors of today, like that type of an actor, Donald Sutherland, that they have such a different approach to acting than, say, the actors of today. Um, is there a difference?
Yes, maybe so. It depends, I mean, obviously there's some wonderful young actors that understand how to do the work. Not
Right,
everybody knows or how to do the work, but
right.
Donald did. And part of doing the work encompassed this research. He
Mhm.
researched a lot so that he could, get into the skin of the character.
Yes,
So the understanding of the kind of research that you have to do and how deep you need to go with that.
exactly, exactly.
Awesome. Yeah.
That's probably what one of the big differences is. So tell us about your this project. That is it an upcoming project or already completed, the film The Italians?
We completed it. It's actually playing the festival circuit. This Saturday night, we're going to be at the Los Angeles International Film Festival here in
Uh-huh.
downtown LA. And on
Uh-huh.
December 12th, we're going to be at the Big Apple Film Festival on Thursday night. So it's very
Uh-huh.
exciting. And that will complete our festival tour. We've been to Europe. We were at Cinequest. We were at the Italy Los Angeles Film Festival, San Luis Obispo Film Festival. Recently, last week, we were at the Ojai International Film Festival,
Uh-huh.
Film Festival. So we've played a lot of wonderful film festivals.
So what's the premise of the film The Italians? What's that film about?
It's about an Italian American family that is about to meet their only son's new girlfriend,
Uh-huh.
only to find out that she's not Italian.
Uh-huh.
She doesn't go to church. She doesn't like the cooking of the mother. She
Uh-huh.
doesn't want children, and she's already been divorced.
Huh?
So it's a mother, an Italian's mother, worst nightmare.
Huh. It sounds like it. So I'm assuming it's a comedy. Is it meant to be a
Yeah.
comedy?
It's a,
Okay.
little bit of a touches of dramedy, but yes.
Yes, a dramedy. And if can people find this online or not until it's
Not yet until it's released, and we're looking at an Easter release.
oh, okay.
And it'll be out on all the platforms, and we'll have a bit of a theatrical. And yeah, we're excited about it because it's about an Italian family, but it's a lot of families. As people have told us and have come up to us in different screenings, I'm
Uh-huh.
not Italian, but I can relate. There's a universality to us all. And that
Yes.
is certainly, I think, the message and what the movie taps into.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's great. Very interesting. So what about do you have any upcoming projects coming up that you're working on now? Other
Yes,
potential
I'm
projects?
working on a wonderful movie. It's a big space disaster action, sci-fi thriller
Uh-huh.
called Helios. I'm working on a romantic comedy called Starstruck, another movie called Party Crasher.
Uh-huh.
Working on some really extraordinary projects that I'm preparing to shoot.
Do you find talent in your acting workshops that you have sometimes used for your film? No.
Always, as a matter of fact, one night there was this young actor, Edouard Philippona, who performed the scene in my acting class, and I was at the time we were writing the script called The Runner, and I
Uh-huh.
ended up casting him as the lead.
Uh-huh.
absolutely incredible. He gave a wonderful performance. And months later, after the release of the movie, I get a call from Ridley Scott asking me about him and praising the movie. And it was a highlight phone call of, yes,
Definitely.
it happens all the time. As a matter of fact, in Miranda's Victim, I have a lot of students in front of the camera.
Uh-huh.
Some students came and worked behind the camera. Some students shadowed me.
Hmm.
Um, there's nothing like that practical experience on set.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. That's great. So before we go, I guess I just want to ask you, what do you have any advice for aspiring actors and directors today?
Well, perseverance, I think, is the word of the day. You have to, there's a lot of words and there are a lot of, words of wisdom. I watch my son study film all the time. He watches and watches and watches and studies and analyzes. I
Yes.
think you have to really be willing to go deep in your process and, you know, look at all the different genres in cinema from all over the world and go to museums and travel and go to the theater. And then I think you have to, be proactive and just get it done, especially in the times when you feel like you don't want to do it.
Uh-huh.
And be patient. I think opportunity knocks on everybody's door. It's, the person has to be ready for it.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that's one, I think that's one quality a lot of people sometimes don't have, and they might miss out on, doing something because they just don't have the patience to really withstand or to wait.
Develop patience.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Michelle, thank you so much for being here. So tell people, so where can they find you? Do you have a website and they can
Yes,
go
yes,
ahead?
of
Yes.
course. Michelle Danner Acting Studio, michelledanner.com, the Los Angeles Acting Conservatory for the programs.
Uh-huh.
Of course, we're on Instagram, Michelle Danner LA, Actors International, and all the other, social media platforms.
Great. So people can find out. And yeah, if anybody wants to do take one of your acting workshops, they can find out, I guess, online, right?
Absolutely.
That's great. And we'll try
Yes,
and put some of those links on the blog for the marialiberati.show.com so
thank
people
you.
can find those. Michelle, thank you so much and much success with your film. And I guess we'll be looking to see that film, The Italians, when it comes out.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Embark on a culinary journey with me and my Gourmand World award winning book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking. Discover the secrets to authentic Italian dishes that will wow your family and friends. Bring the essence of Italy to your table. Grab your copy of The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, Holidays and Special Occasions, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking Da Vinci Style, and The Basic Art of Italian Cooking at Amazon.com and anywhere books are sold, along with marialiberati.com and artoflivingprimamedia.com. And Valentine's Day and Super Bowl are both coming up, and we have some more holidays to celebrate. So I invited Nicki, who is a mixologist with Vino Voss, to help us navigate putting together wine cocktails. And Nicki, thanks so much for being here.
Of course, thank you for having me.
I think people don't really think of, wine. They just drink wine and don't just by itself. They don't
Yeah.
really think of using it in a cocktail, which I think is a great idea. So, can you give us some examples of some wine cocktails for the different events coming up?
Of course, yeah. Well, when you think about it, so I started off with the wine-based cocktails because I also have worked at a whiskey bar and
Uh-huh.
lounge.
Uh-huh.
And people are so used to drinking those neat instead of like in cocktails. And then
Oh,
even when they would drink wine, it was like everyone was drinking everything like standard, how it comes. And I was like,
uh-huh.
there's a whole world out there of like discovery within both yourself and how far you can push like the
Uh-huh.
flavors that you're getting from these wines. And
Exactly.
so that's when I started experimenting with wine based cocktails. And
Wow.
so some fun ones that you can do for
Yes.
Valentine's Day that are
Uh-huh.
coming up. You have strawberry wines, and strawberry wines can taste good as a spritz, or
Uh-huh.
you can mix it with like a chocolate liqueur and make like a strawberry chocolate martini is
Uh-huh.
always good.
That sounds great.
Um, we can do, have you ever had a French 75?
I don't think I have. No, what is French 75?
So French 75 does have liquor in it, but you don't have to add that in. It's a
Uh-huh.
gin and prosecco with lemon and simple syrup in it. And you can
Okay.
pretty much make that with any variation of like
Uh-huh.
red or white wine or
Uh-huh.
sparkling wine. And
Right.
what's fun with that is you can add like herbs in it. And so
Oh,
you
that's
can do like
interesting.
basil, you can do rosemary, you can do thyme. Like there's so many ways to stretch it,
Uh-huh.
and it's all just it's experimentation and like learning
Mhm.
what you like.
Uh-huh.
And then you have like the classic, have you had a Negroni before?
Yes, yes.
I'm a big Negroni girl. I love Negronis. But you can do that. You can take the gin out again, right?
Right,
And there's this thing called orange wine. And
right.
orange wine is made with like fermented skins of oranges. And
Oh,
so they
really?
have like a little bit of a bitterness to them.
Uh-huh.
And that plays really well with, you can make it with Campari or even Aperol,
Uh-huh.
and taking out the gin and the sweet vermouth. There's
Uh-huh.
also a wine liqueur called Lillet. And
Uh-huh.
so if you mix the orange wine, the Lillet, and the Aperol together, all
Uh-huh.
equal parts, that makes
Uh-huh.
a really good like aperitif or even post dinner drink that does well for like your digestion after a big meal,
Oh,
but it also has
exactly,
a
because
really,
it's an
really good
apparent.
flavor.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. After all, yes, it is good for the digestion. I think it's a
Yeah.
digest, right?
Hmm.
So what about sparkling wines? Because everybody usually likes to use sparkling wines for
Yeah.
lots of like festive occasions.
So what's fun about sparkling wines, right? Well, you could always do champagne and caviar, right? Who doesn't
Right,
want to do that
exactly.
on
Yes.
Valentine's Day?
Yes.
But there's different variations of sparkling wine, and I actually was just talking to somebody about not just like leaning towards prosecco or champagne, even on for the New Year on New
Uh-huh.
Year's Eve.
Right.
There's you have like Moscato, Sect, and Corpinade, which are
Uh-huh.
like different variations of sparkling wine from all over different regions. And so you can pick those and you can play with them. You can make them into like a spritz
Uh-huh.
again, or you can do the French 75, or you can do have do you make simple syrups at all? Have you thought
I do
about?
sometimes. I do sometimes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And
Uh,
so that's a fun one, right? So it's equal parts, like
yes.
1 cup sugar, 1 part water, and then you just
Exactly.
I throw lavender in a lot. I
Uh-huh.
always keep
Oh,
lavender
I love
simple syrup
lavender.
on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you can just like, you can honestly just do that style champagne and then add a little bit of that homemade simple into it.
Uh-huh.
And it just
Uh-huh.
kind of heightens it a little bit. And you can do that based off of like the flavor profiles that you find in the sparkling wine, or the ones
Uh-huh.
that you're wanting to look for in it by
Uh-huh.
adding it yourself.
It's great. So I guess it's really like even if you have like a favorite cocktail, just kind of experimenting with flavors and taste and putting wine in instead of maybe something else, some other,
Yeah.
say, alcoholic beverage, right? You can put a
Yeah.
wine, like,
100%.
and kind of experimenting with that. And maybe if the wine has notes of, say, chocolate or cherry or something, picking
Hmm.
that up and maybe adding more into that.
Yeah. And like
Yeah.
running with it.
Yes, exactly. That's what it sounds like. That's a
Yeah.
really great idea. So you can use sparkling or regular dry sparkling or even a sweet wine, right? It sounds like you
Yeah.
can use
Yeah.
any
And even
wine.
so, like if you want to add, like you don't, sometimes people go for the sparkling wine just for the carbonation of it, but you can
Right.
make that carbonation just by adding maybe a little bit of soda water or some
Uh-huh.
Sprite. And
Sprite.
so that's a good way to kind of lean into it.
Right. Or like a
It's
seltzer water, a plain
yeah,
seltzer or club soda, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds great. Any particular, like, is there a cocktail recipe you can give us for, say, Valentine's Day that is like a favorite of yours?
Oh yeah. Okay. So
Yeah,
one that
so can you
honestly
share one?
I was just experimenting with is do you enjoy espresso martinis?
Yes, every so often, yes.
Yeah. So I would like to say that, like, let's say you're on your Valentine's Day date and you want to stay up a little bit longer, right?
Uh-huh,
Instead of adding liquor into it by doing like a vodka based one or even tequila, if you
uh-huh.
add in a Pinot Noir
Oh, okay,
into
that's
your
a good
espresso
idea.
martini, it adds like a fuller bodied flavor to it. And
Yes.
if you're at home, you can
Hmm.
like shave some chocolate on top of
Oh,
that,
yummy.
which
Uh-huh.
would make a really savory version. So it's not as bitter as a normal
Right.
espresso martini would be. It's way more full bodied and like you have a bigger mouth feel to it. And it
Okay.
honestly it makes you sip it slower,
Yes,
which is
exactly.
which is a good thing.
Good thing, definitely. Great. Nikki, thank you so much for being here, and hopefully everybody got some recipes they can try out for Valentine's Day and
Of
for
course.
Super Bowl as well. And
Mm,
I'll try and have that recipe on the blog for the
mhm.
MariaLiberatiShow.com so people can pick that up also. Thanks so much
Yeah,
for
I'll
being here.
definitely send it over. Of course. And I
Yes,
also
yes, send it
just
over.
wanted to add one quick thing with
Yes,
the wines. If you
uh,
just search on
yes,
vinovos.com, you can go
uh,
ahead and it'll you can search for if you're looking for a certain flavor profile
uh.
in the wine, it finds it right for you. The
Oh,
AI,
that's
it does
great.
a really good job of breaking everything down and making looking for a wine quite accessible. And
Uh-huh.
so it's like having a sommelier in your pocket.
Oh, that's great. So people can search out wines in the profile in the wine to pair with other
Mhm.
things. Great.
And even food pairings, like if you're cooking a specific thing like a salmon or like a
Uh-huh.
you're doing a surf and turf for Valentine's Day, you
Right.
can go ahead and it'll list out very specific wines that would pair perfectly with exactly what you're cooking and the
Uh-huh.
links to the wholesalers where you can buy them as well.
All right. Thanks so much. Thank you. Thanks for those tips also. All
Of course.
right. Thanks again.
Have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Maria Liberati Show, and thanks as always to my producer and this week's special guest. And as always, you can find me at marialiberati.com. You can find the blog for this show at the marialiberati.show.com, on Instagram at Maria Liberati, on Facebook at Chef Maria Liberati, on Twitter or X at Maria Liberati, on Pinterest at Maria Liberati, on my new channel on the Binge Networks, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking by Maria Liberati. Just look up the Binge Networks. And let's see, you can also find me on LinkedIn at M Liberati and on Vimeo at Maria Liberati. Our YouTube channel is called The Maria Liberati Show, where you can find audio podcasts, but also video. And of course, you can find The Maria Liberati Show anywhere podcasts are heard. And please subscribe to the podcast and my channel, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking by Maria Liberati, and our channel on YouTube, The Maria Liberati Show. Please subscribe to that also. And until next time, peace, love, and pasta.